We're getting this party started in here, and we're not wearing any pants. That's today's wearable today. We're going to talk about. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about wearables and sex and how that's going to be the next generation of thing or something like that. We're also going to talk about, do you really need to own a wearable or not own a wearable? We talk about Pebble and what they're doing and a whole bunch more. Let's get it started. This party started here on Wearable today. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine. Put in a geek, you've got Wearable today. Wait, what? Oh, you've got Geekazine, but of course I'm on Wearable today. You can find me at jeff@wearabletoday.com or geekazine@gmail.com. You can always email me either way. Twitter handle is, of course, Geekazine. As always, my cohort to the left of me or the right of you or the up of me or the down, you probably don't even see that part. This is Mr. Luke Wallace. How you doing, Luke?
Doing good tonight, Jeff. Yeah, if you're looking for me, I'm Luke Luca on Twitter. That's LukeLuca. Or Luke at wearabletoday.com or on Google Plus at plus Luke Wallace. And we got Birdie here, so you can see Luke Wallace and Birdie.
I like how you added his name to your lower third.
It's Birdie and Birdie at wearabletoday.com.
Awesome. So of course, you can always email Birdie if you want to. We encourage that. We have a lot of fun here, so check it out. And of course, check out last week's episode. A lot of great episodes come out, but last week we had a pretty spot on episode with Stefan Holodnik. That was his name, right?
Holodnik, yeah.
Holodnik, yeah, that's right. It was a great episode. So check it out over at wearabletoday.com. But right now, we've got to get into our news. So let's get into our big news, little R.
So, Forbes.com says wearable tech can be a real help to learn about how your body works, but you don't really need it. We've survived hundreds of years without it, and so Forbes has an article asking the question: should you really, lay down your money for these devices, or should you just listen to what your body's telling you? And if you're, feeling run down, maybe you shouldn't be eating what you're eating, or maybe you need to exercise more, and you should just learn to listen to your body. So that's over at Forbes.com.
All right. And I think this is all messed up now. Did I put this out in the right area here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There we go. Lots of great wearable technology. We had some technical difficulties, so I'm all over the map right now. Lots of great wearable technology was used to keep players safe and learn a little bit more about the impact of sports on the human body. One of those items I actually got to see firsthand at CES last year, not this last one, but the one before that, when Reebok showed this wearable device over your head that had sensors that could tell you about concussions. With GoPro cameras, with body sensors in your clothes and on your bodies, for that matter, we only did not get to see a great football game. We also got a ton of data out of that, and that's going to change the future of wearables or of sports, whether it be football or basketball or baseball, simply by having all these sensors in. At least that's what they're working to strive to get to.
Up next, is Oculus Rift a doomed wearable? Techno Buffalo seems to think so. They say the device is too bulky, too limited, and far too ugly. They say the device needs to be at least one step better than current technologies in two different ways, and to them, the Oculus just doesn't do that. They think that technologies like the HoloLens or a whole room projector like the Immersis will be what really catches on. If you'd like to read more about that, it's over at technobuffalo.com.
All right, next up. Pebble moves forward despite the Apple Watch being such a big, thing with apples and watches and stuff like that. Can you hear me? I can't hear me. What happened? Okay, we're good to go. Okay. So Pebble was moving forward despite the Apple Watch with millions of watches out there. They actually hit the 1 millionth watch. What are you doing, Luke?
Nothing.
Okay. I actually hit the 1 millionth watch sold in December of 2014. So, it's kind of their incentive to say, hey, let's continue for, this thing's not a fad. Let's just move forward with this. So, Pebble is working on software updates for their current and newer watches coming out soon. If you want to read more on that, we've got the link over at macrumors.com. All right, one more article in the Big News Little Arms here that kind of hits close to home. This is a shout out to friends Robert and Miriam Scoble. 2 days ago, Robert made a decision to go socially dark as he gets his life back in order. He had a little cancer scare, and he entered into Alcoholics Anonymous. He canceled many of his gigs at this time, including South by Southwest. I've talked to him since then, offering any help if needed. But right now, he's trying to get his life together, life in order. I've been in similar situations where I can feel for him on that. So thoughts go out to the whole family. It's great when you realize that you're going down the wrong path and be able to change it. And I know he's got tons of people that are talking about that. But I wanted that big shout out because he's one of these. I guess you could kind of call him a forefather for wearable technology. Him and Cheryl Israel wrote the book Age of Context, and he's had Google Glass ever since it first came out, and he was the main driving force with Google Glass. So thoughts and prayers, and Luke, I'm guessing your thoughts and prayers go out to him as well, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough situation. Yeah, and like you said, it's really just good that he recognized that he had a problem that needed more help than he could do on his own. And so yeah, wish him all the best, and hope that he's able to recover from that.
All right, there you go. And that is your big news, Little Arms. I like how you did. You took the cue for that, and you just kind of you didn't go too heavy with the RAR this time. So, Luke, how's your week been so far?
It's been good. It's been good. I was gonna say that it feels like, well, I mean, we did have to turn down a show for the Super Bowl there because they wanted to use our Big News Little Arms mascot, Polly the dinosaur, in the halftime show, but we just couldn't work out the licensing, so they used a polyagonal, hexagonal, low res lion that Katy Perry was riding during the halftime show. So
yeah,
but
she came in like a firework, I must say.
She did, and I could hear her roar. Mm-hmm. The more you know.
Right.
The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. I guess
Stars.
information overload in this case, but that's okay. So, did you watch the Super Bowl? You
I
being
did.
the sports fanatic you are?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it was more about just hanging out with some friends and watching the game. Did get to see a bunch of the commercials. That was a blast.
Yeah. Any commercials stand out?
There was definitely one that stood out to me personally. So there was an app that I was working on. Not very much. I was just kind of helping out on it. So like it wasn't a big thing, but it's one that our company had been working on. It was for a little company named Nationwide. They were starting a Make Safe Happen campaign and doing that during the Super Bowl. And they said there would be a commercial for this Make Safe Happen campaign, and there was.
That was a very interesting commercial, if I remember correct.
It got a lot of media coverage.
Yeah.
And I'm before I say anything, let me be clear here. I do not represent our company. I do not represent Nationwide by any statements that I'm making here. These are personal opinions that I should only, I take responsibility for what I say, but this is not any sort of official statement. But I thought it was neat. There were a lot of, I would say, somber or ads during the Super Bowl. A lot of like people trying to do serious topics, and I think Nationwide took on a serious topic and Maybe they got more backlash for it. I think they got more backlash for it than they should have.
Yeah.
But yeah.
At $4.5 million for a 30-second ad, you can say or do whatever you want on a commercial. And it really wasn't that bad. I mean, the one ad that got taken down was GoDaddy's ad, where they mocked the puppy ad. And they almost mocked it perfect to what Budweiser was going to do with their ad. Except when the puppy finally got home, the owner said, "Oh, great, you're here in time. So we just sold you on our website." And then the puppy was off and running. So it was sad, but it was really funny. But they pulled that ad and they had a very somber GoDaddy ad at the end.
The guy at the laptop, was that?
No,
Just
well,
sitting
he
at a
was
laptop,
he
or-
was sitting at his desk, and they said, this guy's not watching the Super Bowl game. He's got he's doing his business thing, and he's pushing forward, and of course we at GoDaddy are helping with that. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, that was a very somber one. But the other thing, Nationwide wasn't the only make you stop and think type ad off
Absolutely.
of that. But that definitely did get a lot of speaking. So it's really cool that you're part of that, and I'm all for. I'm glad that Nationwide did that ad. It's the one thing about Super Bowl ads is they always seem to take things to the next level, especially with the 93-year-old. I think I can say it now. 93-year-old guy that says "Don't bitch." Here, boys, don't bitch.
Yeah.
Cut it there. What ad was that? But anyway, I was on Facebook today, and of course they had the ads on the iPad, and I was flipping through, and it's like, and there was one ad, and it just said there was the guy, he was sitting. It was for the cars, the Dodge vehicle, and he's just sitting in the Dodge, and he's going there, and of course big words, "Don't bitch," and I was like, okay, I guess that's not really a swear word anymore, so
Yeah,
we can move on with that one, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, but anyways, go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing. I was thinking about how I was gonna get this public forum, with our dozens of viewers. I guess. Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching, Mom.
Do like Carol Burnett and tug the ear.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, go.
So anyway, I was thinking that I think what people were confused by it because they kind of it gets to the point where the kid's basically like, hey, I died and that's why I couldn't have fun, and and then and people were like, wait, Nationwide that sells insurance, like they're trying to, this is how they're trying to sell insurance to people. And I think there's a misunderstanding there that Nationwide, like a lot of big companies, has some they do some other just kind of good things, good corporate policies, like giving back kind of things.
Yeah.
And again, not representing Nationwide in this statement, but if you went to the actual makesafehappen.com and looked at it, they actually talk about how Nationwide has been giving back, and they have a children's hospital in Ohio that they sponsor, and this Make Safe Happen is part of that group where they're trying to educate people about all of this, these child accidents and fatalities in some cases that happen around the home. And so it's like, it's different from the people that are trying to sell you insurance. It's like it's all under Nationwide, but it's not. The people who are trying to sell you insurance were telling you about this. It's like it was two parts of Nationwide that were advertised during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
One of the ads was, I think, about selling insurance. That was the Mindy Kaling.
Oh yeah, you
Kaling
can't see
one.
me.
Where she can't see her, and she's like,
couldn't
"Oh,
see
see
her.
our insurance. We actually see you, and we care about you." And then there was this other one where it's like, "Well, for our children's, giving back, and raising awareness stuff like that one." And so I think people were like, they just kind of always put Nationwide in that one bucket, and it's like, well, it's like, but people are talking about it, and it's a lot of good stuff. So hopefully something good comes out of it.
Yeah. It's not unlike the Esurance commercials with Bryan Cranston as Walter White and Lindsay Lohan. But this isn't about Super Bowl commercials. This is about But we did have a very interesting article about the technology being used in the Super Bowl, and of course I've seen a lot of that stuff. This last year I got to see the Microsoft Surfaces that they use. They use the Surface Pro 2s, and they have a nice little cage, which actually has a a heater or air conditioner in there, depending on where they are, because those tablets get hot and cold, and they don't function that well in extreme temperatures. So I got to learn a little bit about that. Of course, sensors in the helmets and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see if they publish some of this data that they've collected from the Super Bowl to see how that affects and changes the game as a whole. But the real question is, will they publish that data? Do you think that we'll get to see that at all, or no?
I would guess that if it's if it's good data, we probably won't get to see it. Like if it's aggregated and like, well, look how many hits were made, or look at how something like that, where you're like, well, there's nothing really tactical they're going to do with that information. Like they may give away some of that just to show that
Yeah.
they have it.
I'd also like to see how much more impact that they'd have at a 5 or 10 yard line, as opposed to just starting out. If the hits get harder when it comes to getting closer to the goal line, or something like that, that'd be kind of interesting to talk about. But so I just swung it back to relevance to the show. So that's the reason why I said that. So let's move on, because we have other great articles to talk about. And the next one we're going to talk about, it comes from our segment called The Apple Watch. No roar there.
No, yeah, yeah, it's kind of a letdown. No,
Yeah,
no sound
sorry
effects for
about that.
one.
Sorry, no, that's okay. Maybe it's like this: the Apple Watch. Yeah, does that work?
Yeah,
Kind of.
it's clicking.
Kind of?
It's kind of like a clock. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, the gold Apple Watches will actually be available in store. That's what the rumor says. But the bigger technology out of it might be the safes that they're installing in each store to prevent the theft of these Apple Gold Watch, because they're going to be 18-karat gold watches that are going to be in store. The safes are rumored to be fitted with chargers. They're the MagSafe charger things, the magnetic chargers, so they stay fully charged. So, and the safe, something about the safe actually, and this is all rumor, of course, the safe actually being able to move out into the showroom, unlocked there, and then brought out from there. So, but the bigger rumor, the one rumor out of it, is the fact that there's going to be 18-karat gold Apple Watches in the store for your purchase, and no prices yet that we found here. But the other thing is the security on these Apple Watches. Now, Luke, I'll pose this to you. How soon? Maybe we should start a poll on this. The first Apple Store robbery that happens. How many days is it going to take before somebody tries to do a major, not like an Apple Watch will just pull it out of the security thing and run. More of a after hours type break in. When do you think we'll see that?
Oh, there'll probably be some attempts. That first week that it comes out, I would say that there'll be somebody trying to break in and do that. Now, if Apple markets their security as well as they market their other products, it may be that they stave off that, and people say, this isn't going to be worth it, because they'll they've got all these cameras, and I mean they know they've got security cameras in there, and maybe they'll steal the Beats by Dre headphones, which seem to be popular among the shoplifting crowd at Apple stores.
Really? Did you ever have you seen an article about that, or?
I have a friend who used to work in an Apple store, and he said that they were by far the most stolen piece of merchandise.
So you know a guy.
I know a guy. Okay. Though he was definitely working in the store. He wasn't the guy who always stole them.
Oh, okay. Well, I steal my stuff through a truck with Vinny and Vito close by. So if I was to do that, that's how I would do it. Not that I steal stuff from trucks with Vinny and Vito. I'm just saying that's how I would do it. It just makes more sense than to be at the store. So. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about these gold Apple Watches. Have you heard anything about this line of new watches, or?
Not really. I think the article is is pretty good about that too, saying like they haven't really announced that. They did say 349 starting, but that doesn't mean for the gold watches.
No.
That's probably for the sport watches and the aluminum or whatever the cheaper one. Yeah, I would guess 18 karat gold. Like I'm sure it's just gold plated.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. Will it be 449? Will it be 549? I don't know.
$600, $700, $800. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Like, will there be a 14 karat gold one as well as an 18 karat gold one? Like, maybe something a little cheaper. I don't know.
No, that's true. That's true. And like I said, this is all we've been saying. It's all rumor. And we've got the article over at 9 to 5 Mac. Check it out and form your own opinion. What do you think? First of all, if you see a gold Apple Watch, are you going to buy a gold Apple Watch, or are you just going to buy an Apple Watch, or you're not going to buy the watch at all? The consensus between me and Luke is pretty much no. Although I have been thinking about getting an iPhone in my arsenal again, just to have it. And since my contract is out, and I love my Android phone, I'm not going to switch off of that. But I could go get the Apple iPhone and start my new contract and go from there. So,
yeah.
Which would then mean I'd have to pay $349 for a watch. Which it's. Do you see me wearing a watch?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we're not wearing any devices today, are we, Luke?
No. Yeah, we talked about this just before the show. Yeah, so I'm not wearing my glass right now. I did wear it to work today, but I don't really need to take a lot of pictures while recording the show, and I get some notifications in, but I don't really deal with those too much during the show either. So having that stuff extremely handy isn't critical. So So sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't.
We're going in Wearable, and actually that's what I did at CES. I didn't wear any wearable whatsoever when I went to CES, and I did that for a reason. I did that so somebody wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, that's you're wearing Google Glass, or you're wearing this fitness tracker." Well, what about this fitness tracker? Well, check out this fit, and it's a great pull-in for somebody. But the reality was I wanted to go, not show them how much I'm into wearables, if that makes sense. It gave me a better eye of the show if they didn't think that, that there was a common ground here that we needed to talk about. And I was right. I could go from booth to booth, and they did their usual sales pitch and stuff like that, but it was a lot easier for me to move back and forth and not be encumbered by somebody thinking, "Oh, I've got to sell them off of this watch for our watch." So, but anyway, if you want to read more on that, we've got that over at 9 to 5 Mac, and that is our segment, Apple Watch. And of course, that brings us into a new not really new segment, but our next segment, which is called, and I don't have a graphic, but I have a graphic. It's called Fund Me. And this is it. This is the Glow for smart headphones. Laser headphones, as they say. Why, yes, Glow is a set of headphones any raver would want because they glow when they're plugged in. They also pulse to the beat of your music. These are not going to be cheap, though, even though they've raised almost 3 times the amount so far, and they still have like 38 days to go. But it's going to cost you, if you want a pair, get ready to jump back, $150 for a pair of headphones. Yeah, that's big. Yeah, but it glows. And I've got stuff that glow. I have, I showed you the gloves. I think these. Let's get them to glow. Where are they going? There we go. Yeah, these are the gloves that I got off of Amazon for like $5. So if I can do this with a pair of gloves, I could take this out of the glove and put it into a set of headphones. I also remember coming back from Barcelona, and this kid had a USB cable, and the USB cable was doing the same thing, was glowing and pulsing. So my question is it really, is it really going to cost that much for glowing headphones? And would you buy it, Luke? Would you pay $150 for a set of headphones?
Um, I don't think for the headphones that have this feature set. So I was looking through. I'm like, well, do they do anything more than have a glowy light? It says dual audio drivers. You're like, okay, good
Yeah.
headphones, I guess. Heart sensor, but then there's a little star. It's like, well, is the star in all of them? And then Android Wear equals smart headphones. So like they add all this stuff together. Um, I guess I was trying to figure out what else they had in it,
Yeah.
but it just, you know, I have paid around $150 for headphones, but they are, big over the ear, noise canceling, active noise canceling headphones, um, made by another company, made by a well-known company. This is, a brand
Go ahead and
new
say the company.
group.
I mean, we're not. It's
I'm okay. So,
okay.
but it's like, a brand name versus this, kind of brand new Kickstarter thing. And Kickstarter companies have been getting more and more flack, and people are starting to see that they don't always work out quite as well. And,
Yeah.
like it takes a lot longer to get the stuff, and then maybe they estimate. Not every project has that issue, but,
Oh yeah.
so it's like, this is definitely one of those things that I'm probably not going to back it on Kickstarter. It looks like I don't need to because it's already hit its goal. And so I definitely wait for it to come out. And then I would wonder, how good is the heart rate monitor going to be? It's like,
Hmm.
like for the novelty of glowing, no, not worth $150. Not to me.
Yeah. Well, it's got some interesting features. I mean, there's this nub, and I think I've zoomed to the point here. It's got this nub thing that you press the button and you can choose red, blue, or green, I
Yeah.
understand that saying. And then of course this is the internal workings of the device that actually sits in between the headphones, the split of the headphones. So
Mhm.
that might be, it looks cool, but it doesn't look $150 cool. And I have a feeling that it will reduce. Will it be expensive no matter what? Yes, I think it will. It could go down to at least $60, and
Mhm.
then I would start thinking about purchasing one. But $150, yeah, I'll leave it. It's got its funding and stuff like that, and we'll see what happens. Just like you said,
Yeah.
and really concerned about some of these fundings. I actually stopped doing crowdfunds about 3 months ago. And that's the reason why is because I've had a couple that have completely burned me
Mhm.
in their crowdfunding. One of them, before I even got the product, they started another Kickstarter with version 2. And it's like, really? You're gonna. And so I sent them a nasty email. Finally got the product. The product didn't work to the specification. It didn't even come in the color that I asked for because I paid a little bit extra for
Uh-huh.
the colored versions. And I got no response from the guy, and that's it. And there's no there's no blowback on that, you know.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do is find the other people that invested in that crowdfund, and then turn around and create a class action lawsuit.
Yeah. And that's a lot of work, and most
It
people don't want to go to that much hassle. So,
exactly. So, but interesting idea, laser headphones,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you might then ask, well, why do you actually put a segment onto a show if you don't believe in the crowdfunding? Um, I believe in crowdfunding. I really do. I just you're really going to have to sell me
Yeah.
with your product before I start to invest in it. Because, like I said, I've been burned a few times on this thing, and there've been a couple that I haven't been burned on. And I'm gonna tell you, I'll tell you one thing. One of them I kind of got burned on was the Adam Carolla project for his movie Road Hard or whatever it is,
Uh-huh.
because he sent me a shirt, and even though I said I wear double X shirts, I got a medium shirt. T-shirt. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, Adam, I asked for double X. You gave me a medium. What's up with that?" No response.
Well, yeah,
So, am I going to start a class action lawsuit on that? Probably not.
probably not.
But,
Yeah.
it's a t-shirt. It's a white t-shirt. I don't even wear white t-shirts. But it's the whole idea of, hey, I asked for this, you gave me this. That doesn't make much sense. So, but anyway, well, I'm done with that. We'll move on from there. That's the segment we call Fund Me, learning a little bit more about the crowdfunding area of wearable technology.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Did I ramble there? Sorry about that.
No, that's good.
All right. We've got two articles here that talk about where how they control your body, and the first one here is over on Fortune, wearable technology that controls your brain. Luke, well, first of all, it's an article just basically talking about learning a little bit more about how your brain works. Last week they had an episode of Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you watched it or not, but in the episode, Sheldon was trying to find his sweet spot so he could focus on dark matter a little bit more. So he was getting aggravated. He had whole sounds and visuals that were popping up that would annoy him. So he would be in his zone so he could actually start thinking and determining from that. And that's what this article is a little bit about. Where you're in control now of the wearable tech, therefore you can control your brain a little bit more. And a very interesting article that this is over on Fortune, but it asks the question: do you become the doctor? Is it too much? Is it not enough? And personally, I think the more you know. Now I'm seeing Katy Perry fly through the screen. The more you know about your stuff, your brain and stuff like that, the better you can be aware of this, and aware of what your body is doing. Because well, I'll tell you something. Not Scoble. Yeah, that was one thing. But I also had another friend that we found out on Friday that he has a terminal cancer, and he will probably not survive in the next couple months. It's what's called sans cancer, and it's different than regular cancer. But the thing about it is, there's no way to cure. Well, there might be ways to cure it, to slow it down, but there's no way to cure it. And he'll probably not be with us in the next few months, and that's kind of sad. But if you have sensors that kind of tell you that, hey, you might want to get things checked out, he might have been with us a few more years as opposed to a few more months. So. But anyway, so that's the whole idea, being able to do that, being able to control yourself, to understand yourself and go from there. So, Luke, what have you taken from the article?
So maybe I was a little less positive about it because it wasn't technical enough for me, I guess. Like it just kind of said,
Agreed.
They're creating something that can kind of affect your brain and give you, different sensations or maybe different moods or feelings, kind of like you said. So it's and I feel like there are ways to do that now that are much more predictable, but it's a lot more lower tech as well. And I'll just say music, right? Like you can listen to upbeat music and that kind of gets gives you a certain feeling, and then people use music when they go for runs and they get music that has the right pace, has the right beat, and so that helps them, maintain their pace, and and then you can listen to slow music to kind of slow you down and kind of, lower your heart rate and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it sounds like the article, at least, wasn't really detailed enough to give me a whole lot more than just like, well, could they have accomplished the same thing with just a certain selection of music? Maybe not, but it'll be interesting. It's neat that people are doing this kind of research into all sorts of different technologies and different sorts of brain activity, looking for ways to do that. You can tell Bertie's excited about it, and so
is he perched on the webcam or something like that?
On the back of the laptop, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
But yeah, it's pretty. So it's kind of interesting because this is the this is how it starts, right?
Yeah.
You know, different sort of research, and it's kind of out there, and people are like, well, I don't really see how this is practical, but you never know where it may lead. So
Yeah, well, hopefully, as long as you're not drilling holes in your head with drills, I think this is very acceptable. This is very doable, and you never know when somebody collects the right data. Hundreds of thousands of people might look at that data and go, "Yeah, that means absolutely nothing." But then one
hmm
person goes, "Oh, that's what this really means, and how this can really open it up." And then he says, "This is the key, and this is what you do." And the other people go, "Oh." Okay. Well,
yeah,
that makes a whole lot of
yeah,
sense. You're absolutely right. Both of these articles on our featured articles, not great articles. They're clickbait, probably at best. Well, I clicked through it, and now we're talking about it. So, but it does open up the idea of how we could do it. Even right now, I could put a sensor on because right now I'm talking into a camera, not to people, and that changes the landscape a little bit when it comes to things such as creating shows, podcasting, whatever you want to call it. So I could have a little sensor on my head, a couple sensors on my head, and trying to figure out the brainwaves. And then I could turn around and I could be talking in front of a group of people and have those sensors, and then kind of see the reaction that I go through when I'm doing a show, as opposed to going up on stage, as opposed to normal everyday life, whatever what I normally do during the day, which is pretty much sleep. So I like the idea that we can collect our own information. I wish they would have a little bit more meat in that article, but you're absolutely right. It opens up the brain, no pun intended, to stuff that we can think and talk about. So, speaking of which, that brings us to this next one, and this is clickbait. This was definite clickbait. That's why I put it in the title, because that makes our show clickbait as much as this article right here. So, wearable tech and the future of sex. Now, I'm going to start by saying when I was at CES, and that was Birdie, by the way. When I was at CES, I got to meet this couple, and they had a piece of wearable tech for guys and girls. And it's a vibration device. We'll just put it that way. And each person wears it. And the idea is that Bluetooth connects to your phone. Now, here's where this is the kicker here. If she is feeling lonely and wants a little bit of stimulation, she can connect up to her spouse, boyfriend, husband, whatever you want to call it, and she can connect up to their device. Like, for instance, if they're wearing a watch and that sensor is feeling the heartbeat then goes through the sensor of the watch, goes through his phone, shoots over to her phone, shoots over to this device, and then it pulsates with his heartbeat. So, and then she can do the same. She can then turn on his device, and then they have this closer connection. They can also do things like sing into it, and then the other end actually reacts to that, or speak, or play a song, or something like that. Now, what's really cool, getting out of the sexual aspect, if you could take that device, let's say she's having a baby or something like that, and you could take that device and you put it on the womb, and then dad's away or mom's away. Well, it wouldn't be mom. Mom has to be there with the baby, but dad's
yeah.
away. Yeah, think about that. Dad's away, and he wants that interaction, so he can speak into his phone, and then those vibrations could then hit into the fetus, and then you've got that bond and stuff like that. So, but the whole idea is this was meant more, not as much for a sexual arousal thing, well, kind of like a sexual arousal thing. But on the other end, a more of a connection type thing. But that does bring us to this article over on the Telegraph, talking about where the future of sex and wearables are really going to be. And this picture reminds me of that. What was that movie with Sylvester Stallone, where they had that, and I think it was Sandra Bullock, and had that one scene where they were going to have sex, and they put on these little helmets to initiate that.
I don't
Do you remember
remember. I don't know if I've seen that one.
that? It was Wesley Snipes, and there was something about Taco Bells. That's and three
Uh,
seashells.
oh, I never saw it.
Yeah.
Demolition Man,
Yeah, that sounds right.
is that
Yeah, that
right?
sounds right. So,
I don't know.
that kind of reminds me of that.
Well,
But
well, that's a screenshot from Lawnmower Man.
oh yeah, that's right.
So,
Okay.
which had a similar scene, but I think in a different way. So,
Yeah. Okay. Now that okay, I barely remember Lawnmower Man.
yeah.
It wasn't a great movie. So.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Is this something, and don't think of it as a, full arousal, but maybe something, maybe they talk about times where best times of ovulation, where they can have they're trying to have a baby or something like that,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden there's a device that's a sensor that somebody's wearing that tells, hey, now's the right time, have at it, and go from there. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this? Is this going to replace or create a new realm of sexual activity?
Uh, I think it. I think it definitely could, because you've got all these new devices, and the article definitely talks about a bunch of different types of devices. I think you get into devices that are meant to simulate, sexual acts, and then you get some that maybe are more just, yeah, like you said, monitoring tools or measuring tools. Um, to use a phrase. And then you got different ones, yeah, for stimulation or, then there's more, I would say more the novelty ones that
Yeah.
they talk about, like the love tester, the true love tester, which is a bra device, that we've talked about before, that was in another article in a prior show.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it definitely could. I mean, the article does talk about how sexting uh, is taking off, or has taken off a lot more. Um, you can get into the whole issue of privacy and those kind of things, but it's something that people are doing, and probably not something that kids should be doing.
No.
And like you get into all the this that whole realm of, like, once these pictures exist, they can be very hard, be very hard to get rid of. So,
Yeah.
giving them to teenagers or college co-eds, or, something like that, can be quite dangerous. But, it is something that, grown adults, can do as well. And, I think it's a little early to say what the long-term effects of things like that are. So I think you could run into the same kinds of things here of, would using these devices a lot, would it cause issues down the road of, you have to have one of these devices to get aroused, or to be stimulated, whatever, without getting too graphic.
I
But
think, yeah, I think we're going to have a level of, in lack of a better term, agoraphobia. People that don't leave the house, don't find another person. I kind of, I'm also thinking of that other episode of Big Bang Theory where they had the kissing device, where Howard was showing Leonard this device that if he sticks his tongue into this device, there was a response from another device that she would have
oh,
overseas, so
oh,
they
I
could
see.
be intimate with each other without being there. They just needed the devices there. So,
Hmm.
could we see a setup where somebody is wearing a pair of Oculus Rifts, have a series of sensors on their body, and have a device that kind of pleasures as they watch a video, or maybe even do something similar to a Skype call in 3D with their partner that who's possibly in another state or another country at that time, and they're just feeling lonely and they need to be together, or um, you know uh, high-priced call girls that do the same thing, that you get the visual stimulation. That's where you're paying the price, and go from there, and it'll still be a 40-year-old guy like named Dave that's running the whole show in the background. But
Yeah.
interesting thoughts in the whole thing. But the bigger thing is the sensor data. I mean, uh, could you could be engaged with your partner, even the partner being there,
Hmm.
and your heartbeat's a little bit too high, or it's skipping, or something like that, and hey,
Hmm.
you're having a medical event. Maybe it's time to stop and go see a doctor
Yeah.
before you do anything, before you take that little blue pill or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where it's going from.
Yeah. I think that those are questions that maybe, um, I think these questions aren't exactly raised in this article, but it's glad that, or I'm glad that we're talking about them, and, because I think that, yeah, there's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of,
we gotta go way beyond this article. This
yeah,
was clickbait. We want better clickbait here. So.
yeah. So, I don't think they ever answered their question of exactly why wearable technology is becoming so prevalent. It sounds like it's kind of the new thing, and everybody wants to try something different. Um, maybe that's the case. Maybe that's why these things are taking off right now. But I think
Yeah.
it's the technology is getting smaller and cheaper, and so people can have these kind of crazy ideas, and maybe I
Well,
shouldn't say crazy
I don't
ideas,
know.
but
Yeah,
they're
it's not really a crazy idea because you think about it. Okay, what was it last week? The AVN Awards, the Adult Video Awards, happened,
mhm.
and in years past, it was always CES and the AVNs were on the same week. So the last day of CES, a lot of people went over to the expo hall at the AVN to learn about the technology because there's one thing that will never change, and that is if there's new technology, the porn industry will adopt it before anybody else. Whether it be
Mhm.
Google Glass, whether it be Oculus Rift, whether it be anything like that, they'll find a way. They'll say, "Hey, this is going to increase our revenues by being the first to actually put this out." And within a year, your adult stores that are in whatever town you're in are going to have these devices, going to have some sort of sensor kit or something like that that talk and show you how to use it and how to use that to learn a little bit more about your body so you can maybe do something that you never expected to do or learn about what happens when you go from beginning to end and what if you need to be concerned about anything. So it'll be interesting to see and very relevant. And I love the idea of speculation.
Mhm.
I'm a very big speculator on this, and I said at the beginning of CES, 2015 is going to be the year of the sensor, not anything else. The sensor, and that because that's where we're going to get our data, and we're going to have more than billions. We're going to have what's after trillions, quadruple dillions of data
Yeah.
that we won't know how to put together, but we'll have it by the end of this year, and it's going to be amazing what we can do.
Yeah. I think that it's that quantified self that I know we've talked about, like measuring your steps, and then okay, now I know exactly how many steps I walked today. Okay,
Yeah.
what was my heart rate during the entire day? What was my body temperature during the entire day? And it starts to get where you're always wanting to measure one more thing, just because you feel like if you can measure it, you can, analyze it, and then you can make a change and improve yourself somehow. Maybe that's how we get to, 150-year lifespans is we just start monitoring ourselves more closely and figuring out, you know what, having 3 donuts in the morning was a really bad idea. That just kind of ruined my day. So,
Never a
yeah, I
bad
definitely
idea.
shouldn't do it. Yeah,
Never a bad idea.
I know, I know, I know.
How many donuts did you have today?
Uh, None today. A couple yesterday, and a couple of cupcakes today. So I'm definitely holding my own, even though they may
Mm,
not technically be donuts.
I finished off we got the Hostess Red Velvet cupcakes. I finished those off this morning. That was my breakfast, and but that was it. Hershey bar, but the dark chocolate helps with my blood pressure, so
Yeah.
that's why I
Dark
have one.
chocolate's practically a health food, so
Exactly.
yeah.
I don't see. Jennifer made some carrot and ginger soup which was really nice. And so yeah, I haven't. That's the beauty of working at home is if you've got the food there, you'll eat it. But if it's not there, nobody's bringing in jars of peanut M&Ms or anything or gummy worms or anything like that
Yeah.
into my house. You can if you want. I'll give you the address, but I just don't get that type of stuff. Not working in an office, so.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway,
off
yeah.
topic.
But
Off topic.
that's the kind of stuff that everyone's going to want to monitor, and this is just, another data point.
Exactly.
Another data point. How many calories did I really burn? And how often are we doing that kind of thing? And to what level and all that stuff. So it's more technology. People adopt it.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, I think that does it. Did I have anything? No, that does it for this episode of Wearable Today. It's, we will talk more about this in the future. And of course,
Absolutely.
we're trying to skirt around the major part of this whole subject, but it definitely needs to be talked about. And it's important, but we want to keep it on a PG level at least, so everybody can watch it and understand that there's good reasons for doing stuff like this, and monitoring this information and going from there. So, but anyway, that does it for this episode of Wearable Today. My name is Jeffrey Powers. You can find me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek, or Jeff at Wearable Today. And Luke, where can they find you and Birdie?
You can find me on Luke Luca on Twitter. You can find me on Luke Luca. You can find me
On
at
Luke.
Luke Luca on
You
Twitter.
put a sensor on your Luke Luca, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can find me on Google Plus at Plus Luke Wallace, or for this show, Luke at wearabletoday.com. You can email me, ask any questions, ask why we talked about that, ask about Birdie, or just email Birdie at wearabletoday.com. That's BIRDIE at wearabletoday.
All right. And of course, I was going to ask a question and completely forgot because I wanted to bring up the gong for some reason. I don't know. So, oh yeah, why don't you tell us? Why because you're the one that's going to plan this. What's our schedule like for the next couple weeks?
Well, I was going to need to take next week off to be down at a Mavs game with the 501st. It's Star Wars night at the Mavs game, and so that'll be what I need to be doing next Monday night. And then after that, I think we'd be back for the 16th, which would be right after Valentine's Day. So, if you want to pick up some wearable tech that we talked about tonight, or is in the article that we linked to, it's not a bad time. And I don't know. I think we'd be pretty good up until South by Southwest time, which you might be traveling or.
Yeah, I will definitely be at South by Southwest. And I will be focused on a lot of wearables because there's going to be a lot of startup wearables out there. So I can't wait to see what happens there. So next week we'll probably won't have a show. In the next few weeks we will have a couple guests on. I know Marco has come up with some new stuff, and Luke's going to be getting some stuff for his Moto 360, which we're going to be talking about in future episodes. If you want to be a part of the show, just like Birdie, Birdie wants to be a part of the show. You just say, "I want to be a part of the show." You go, "Yeah," and go, "That's it." So if you want to be a part of the show, just let us know. You got something some snake oil to pimp out. Just let us know, and we'll get you on the show and talk a little bit about it, and then join the conversation over at wearabletoday.com, or Jeff at wearabletoday.com, or Luke at wearabletoday.com. Luke, thanks a lot for being a part of the show. As always, as we're getting close, we're actually getting close to season 3 here very soon.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that.
All right. Well, there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you next time on another episode, 2 weeks from today, another episode of Wearable Today. Until then, you guys geek out and take care.